A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prabhu Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Shama Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Mathura Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupang Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we will be reading from chapter 1, text number 36. So let us chant the Sanskrit and translation in unison. Papam eva shriya asman. So which verse do we start on? Okay. So we'll be doing chapter 2, text number 1. Sanjaya uvacha tang tata kripaya vishtam ashupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam bhakyam uvacha madhusudana. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. Text 2. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kutastva Kashmalam Hidam Vishame Samupastitam Anaya Jushthamasvargyam Makirti Karamarjuna. The Supreme Person, Bhagavan, said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the progressive values of life. They do not lead to higher planets, but to infamy. Text number 3. Klaibhyam masmagamaparta naita tvayapupadyate shudram hridayador balyam yakto vyatishta parantapa. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna uvacha Katam Bhishma Maham Sanke Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubi Pratiyotsyami Pujarha Arishudana. Arjuna said, O killer of Madhu, Krishna, how can I counterattack with arrows? Men in battle, men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship. Text 5. Garun ahatvahi mahanubhavan shreyo bhaktum bhaikshyamapi haloke hatvarta kamam stuguru nihaiva bhunjiya bhogam drudhira pradigdhan. It is better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though they are avaricious, they are nonetheless superiors. If they are killed, our spoils will be tainted with blood. Nachai tadvidma karatan no gariho yadvajayema yadiva no jayu yane vahatva najivi vishamas devastita pramuke tatarashtra. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. The sons of Dhritarashtra, whom if we killed we should not care to live, are now standing before us on this battlefield. Karpanyadosho bahata svabhava Vrishami tam dharma samudachetaha Yachreyasya nishchitang bruhitan me Shishyastehang shadimam tam prapanam. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Text 8. Nahi prapashyami mama punuidyar yachcho kamucho shanam indriyahanam avapya bhuma vasapatnam riddham rajam suranam apechadipatyam. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to destroy it even if I win an unrivaled kingdom on the earth with sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven. Text 9. Sanjaya uvacha evam muktva rishikesham gurakesha parantapa na yutsya iti govinda ukva tushni bahuvaha. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Tam uvacha rishikesha prasnaniva bharata sanayor payor madhye vishidantam idam vacha. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. And the final text, number 11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashotyananda Shochastang Pragyavadam Shabashase Gatasun Agatasumsha Nanushochanti Pandita. The Blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So now we'll return to text 1. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusudana Krishna spoke the following words. Purport. Material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken Arjuna. Pardon me. Let me restart that. The word Madhusudana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Sri Krishna. This realization is made possible by working with the fruit of being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Krishna Shravana Prabhu, we'd love to hear from you if you're able to share anything.
And Arjuna was, his eyes were brimming with tears because of ignorance, not because of transcendental ecstasy. And he addresses Krishna as Madhusudana. One time Krishna killed a demon, Madhu. So if one has doubts, these doubts are like asuras, are like demons, and Krishna is able to kill any demon when Krishna is present on this earth. Krishna killed so many thousands and thousands of demons. No one could defeat Krishna, but Krishna defeated everybody he fought with. So Krishna can dissipate all the doubts, and for this reason, this Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna. Arjuna means every man. In this material world, every man is full of ignorance and doubts. That's why we're in this material world. And this Bhagavad Gita is the light by which we can get out of this material world. If Krishna gives us light, then we could see how to get out. Otherwise, we'll wander around in complete darkness in this miserable place. Thank you.
So this light is shared from without through the Bhagavad Gita, and we're receiving it also in the chain of disciplic succession, and also from within the Lord is giving that light, or He's helping to one understand His directions, and that's discussed in the 10th chapter too. So the Lord is certainly the benefactor of every living entity, and He is the Suridham Sarva Bhutanam, he is the best friend of everybody, and we should get in the habit of approaching him at all times in all places to constantly guide us and protect us and accept us. And that can be done very easily by constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And I've just been doing a little reading, and in 1968, there's many times where Prabhupada, he speaks very frankly about the Maha Mantra, and he had this theme that he brought up many times where he said, this chanting, it doesn't cost anything. This chanting, it doesn't tax you. There's no taxation. The government is not taxing. You are not expending. There is no expenditure for you in any way. There is no loss of energy. There is no problem at all. And by doing this chanting, you're directly in contact with the Supreme Person who, as Krishna Shravana was describing, can destroy all doubts. So, like say you're in life and you want more. Well, why do you want more? You want more because you're afraid, or you have a doubt that you have too less. Right? So all this hankering and lamentation, it's about doubts. And this is what Arjuna was being stricken by, is these doubts, this lamentation that he would have to fight those that he loved. So by the very, very easy process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then all of our doubts will be dispelled by the ever merciful Lord Krishna. And he made himself fully present in his holy name. It's stated in the Padma Purana that he the named, in the absolute sense, the person who's being named on the transcendental platform is as good as the name. So when we say Hare Krishna, then personally we are present with the Lord, as well as his internal potency, Mother Hara. And Srila Prabhupada describes in the explanation of the Maha Mantra on the Happening album, he says that he takes a lot of time to describe the word Hara and the word Hare, that we're calling out to Mother Hara, who she can help us connect with Krishna. And right now, our position is we're trying to exploit Krishna's energies. And when we say Hare Krishna, we're asking Krishna's energy, internal potency, to engage us in his service, not his energy's service. You know? We want to be engaged in the internal potency service. We want to be on Mother Hara's team to give pleasure to Lord Krishna. And that's our real position. That's who we are. We're her assistants at giving Krishna pleasure. And she's so humble and kind and merciful to us that when we say Hare Krishna, we call to her and chant Krishna's name, and she says, oh, look, this person wants to serve my Krishna. You know, let me help them. So we should take full advantage of this opportunity to chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada in 1968, he also had some discussions on different, public appearances. And he would say that our process of chanting Hare Krishna, it's as good as chanting Om, but there's no restrictions based on time and place. Whereas in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, then the yogi has to go to a certain place and sit in a certain way and so on and so forth to get the benefit from that transcendental sound representation of the Supreme Lord. That's how Prabhupada describes it, that the Om and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they're actually identical in the fact that they are both sound representations of the Supreme Lord. Now, he makes a distinction where he says that this Hare Krishna is unique versus the Omkar, because there's no restrictions for time and place. Those restrictions which are given in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 for going to a solitary place and being completely celibate and doing all the breathing and sitting in a certain posture, all of that is not required for chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And actually, one should start, Prabhupada describes many times, just start immediately. And you would say, this is our propaganda. Everybody is completely confused, as Krishna Shravana Prabhu was describing. Everybody is like Arjuna in this case. Everyone has their duty to serve Lord Krishna eternally. And everybody is confused about their duty and saying, I don't want to do that. I want to serve Maya. I want to play a pretend game that I'm Krishna and everything's for me. So Srila Prabhupada would say, this is our propaganda, that everyone should try this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Doesn't matter. You work your business, whatever it may be. He said, you can be a salesman, you can be doctor, you can be this, you can be that. You can be old, you can be young, you can be rich, poor, anything. Everyone should try this chanting, because then you're directly in contact with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And you don't even need to know what it means. And I was recently hearing, and one of the prominent preachers in ISKCON was describing how when we go out for book distribution and Harinam distribution, we are sowing the seeds of Krishna consciousness. We are sowing the seeds, or you could say we're helping Srila Prabhupada sow the seeds of Krishna consciousness everywhere, right? And they may not germinate or sprout in our physical presence during our lifetime, but undeniably that seed, even that sound entering the ear or vibrating, if any living entity, not just the humans even, they are on their way. So that is our work. We're not so much interested to be attached to the results or even seeing the results, but we are attached to doing the work of sowing these seeds, because this is what people need. So, no. Okay, so let's read the next verse here. There's a big purport. Okay. The Supreme Person, Bhagavan, said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the progressive values of life. They do not lead to higher planets, but to infamy. Purport. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Brahman, or the impersonal, all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma, or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus. Varanti tat tattavidas tattam yajnanamadhyam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavatam 1.2.11. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun's surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the supreme absolute truth. Therefore, the bhaktas, or the transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth, are the topmost transcendentalists. Although all students are engaged in the same subject matter, although all students who are engaged in the study of the absolute truth are engaged in the same subject matter. The sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another. And yet the students of the three different phases are not in the same category. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva. The Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached, but no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord, or Bhagavan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Hadir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. In the Bhagavatam also, there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many, many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. Ete chang sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. All the lists of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, the source of both the Supersoul and the impersonal Brahman. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming, and therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the words, kutas, wherefrom. Such unmanly sentiments were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu, or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. Prabhu? Krishna Shravana, would you like to share anything here?
Yes, here Krishna establishes that there is life after death, and our actions in this life determine our destination in the next life. We could either go up or down. We could go up to the higher planets. If we're in the mode of goodness, if we're in the mode of passion, we could remain on this earthly planet. These middle planets like Earth are for those in the mode of passion. And for those in the mode of ignorance, we could go down. Below this earthly planet, there are other planets full of darkness. They're inhabited by living in these like snakes. And these snakes have jewels by which they dissipate the darkness on those dark planets. And there are also hellish planets. There's something like 28 hellish planets in this universe. Yamraj sends us to these hellish planets to be rectified. That's mercy, because without punishment, there's no rectification for our sins. Thank you.
Yes, Jagannath.
So Prabhupada says in the purport that such unmanly sentiments were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. But we're female. I mean, we're not female, but we're feminine. So by nature, we're feminine. So why can't we act unmanly if that's our true nature, is to be what's it called? To be cooperative, to be friendly, to be happy. All these are more or less feminine characteristics. So why can't Arjuna act like this instead? He has to fight with his family.
Thank you. So we are feminine in the way that we have to cooperate with Krishna's order. So if Krishna says, act like a man, which means it's kind of a what do you call it? Turn of phrase, or it's a figure of speech. It 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 means something else. In this case, it means he wanted Arjuna to fight the battlefield. So for him to be acting in his real feminine identity as Prakriti, one of Krishna's servants, that means to act like a warrior and fight on the battlefield. So that's what he didn't understand, and that's why Krishna is telling him that where from this came, where from you lose track of your duty, your sense of duty as my servant. When did you lose that? Where is this other thing coming where you're acting like whatever you want to do? So depending on our karma, then we have a different body. And that body, we use that body to engage in Krishna's service from wherever we're at. So for a warrior, for a soul who's Krishna's servant, which means feminine, that's what that word feminine means. If we try to apply our conception of feminine qualities to the transcendental soul, it will become confusing. The term feminine spiritually means to obey Krishna's order, not necessarily more than that. You know, that's the essence of that feminine, being feminine spiritually. That's part of Prakriti. We are Krishna's energy, but we are superior to matter. Right. So if we try to say what feminine is in this material world and then apply it to the soul, it doesn't quite cross the boundary from this material to the spiritual world. So hopefully that helped a little bit. Yes, the Kshatriya, this case, yes, he must. Prabhupada uses this, such unmanly sentiments. This means that, you know, for a prince or a king like Arjuna, this cowardice was not appropriate. Right? So, let's see what time it is now. In our case, you know, then what is our duty? You know, we're meant to engage in this Krishna consciousness movement under the order of the spiritual master. And many things have been recommended for us. And sometimes we find ourselves acting in a way which isn't congruent with our purpose of life, which is to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Does that make sense? So our purpose of life is to be the best student of the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So some yogis, they have realized that actually everything is God. It's all Brahman. It's all energy. And it's all light. Okay, very good. That's fine. But the next level student understands that supreme energy, unbounded energy, is actually localized within everyone's heart as Paramatma. And then the next level student understands that Paramatma and that Brahman are actually emanating from a person. who is the reservoir of all pleasure and all qualities, namely fame, wealth, power, beauty, renunciation, and knowledge. Right? Fame, power, beauty, wealth, renunciation, and knowledge. 6. There's a person. Now, Prabhupada was describing that in this 1968. He was very candid about the chanting process. It's very like, there's no bars, there's no boundaries. You just take it and try it out. And Prabhupada would say, everyone should try it for 1 week. You go on the car, driving, or on the subway, you chant. What is the harm? You will see. You test it, and you will see. So he says that we should not think that Krishna is only in Goloka Vrindavan. He is there, but he's also in his name. Right? So that's what's amazing, is that by chanting, you're associating with the Supreme Person. You don't have to do any of that yoga process to try to go up gradually from Brahman to Paramatma like that. So, yes, when we receive instructions from the bona fide spiritual master, then sometimes we feel confused, or we are kind of in this position where we are, we're lamenting. Well, I didn't really like that way it sounded, or I had a different plan, or I had a different idea. And if we understand that the purpose of my life is to attain realization of the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, then I should act in accordance with that purpose. That means we're an audience. We know the purpose of life and we act according to that purpose. Right? So this Krishna consciousness movement is a purpose-driven movement. The purpose is to love Krishna. The purpose is to realize Krishna and to serve him eternally, purely. Right? So when the bona fide spiritual master coming into cyclic succession is distributing bona fide or authorized service to the Lord, and the Lord has described, I can be known by service only, then the Aryan says, wonderful. I have been given the opportunity to act in accordance with the purpose of my existence, and there's no higher gain for me. But sometimes we are stricken with doubts and we are confused. So then we need a little correction. So Krishna Shravana Prabhu was describing how it's actually mercy to be corrected. The materialists get corrected by Yamaraj, and they are punished in hell. And the devotees are also given different types of punishments, which are in a different category. They may also affect the material body and mind, but the Lord is particularly arranging them to help us surrender faster, more sincerely. So pretty much at all costs, we have to avoid making offenses against the bona fide spiritual master. And it's very difficult for the conditioned soul to accept absolutely anybody, even Krishna. That's our problem. isn't it? You know, we're here because we couldn't accept that Krishna is the boss and whatever he says goes. You know? So it's very difficult for a conditioned soul to act like a proper disciple or act like a real Aryan. And we're very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada is quite lenient with us, and his disciples are maybe even more lenient with us. It is described, though, Srila Prabhupada has described that the grandfather is a little bit more tolerant and more merciful, more kind to the boys, you know. So we pray to Srila Prabhupada every day and all day long, and we always offer everything to the Lord through his mercy. You know, through him, we offer to the Lord through Srila Prabhupada. And even, you know, before that, you know, if we have our spiritual master, then we even offer to Srila Prabhupada through that person. But we are encouraged, we are authorized in this ISKCON movement to develop our personal relationship with the founder Acharya. And through that relationship, we can become rectified, you know, from our behaviors and our misconceptions and our acting in ways which are unharmonious or disharmonious with our real purpose of life, which is to surrender to Krishna. So thank you for tolerating me. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Devotees.